case clean, I won't shroud it in no love. Getting laced at the seams, turning powder into dust. I need space for my team, it's getting crowded in the club. Now I walk with a goddess, she a full course meal while I...
What's up, guys? It is Wednesday, December 7th. It's 5:14 p.m. and this video is going to be a Flair deep dive because Flair is coming around the corner. We got, I believe it's January 9th that we're going to get the distribution. Yeah, so January 9th, 2023. They've been in close conversation with the major exchanges to ensure people can receive their Flair tokens as close as possible to January 9th. Here's the latest update. We'll add to the list as other exchanges confirm, so please bookmark for updates. So let's get an update real quick as far as what exchanges are going to distribute Flair within 2 weeks. So we have Binance, OKX, Kraken, Nexo, KuCoin, Huobi, Gate.io, Bitfinex, BitTrue, Crypto.com, Bitstamp, BitHum, Upbit, OKCoin, Poloniex, Uphold, Bitso, CEX.io, GateHub, Probit, iTrust Liquid, and then a couple other ones. We have some Japanese exchanges. So awaiting confirmation. I mean, Coinbase is a huge one. Same with Binance US. Coinbase today, I believe, said that they are going to distribute it because he was putting some pressure on them. So that was, or maybe it was a couple days ago. Yeah. Yesterday. So, hey, Brian Armstrong, Coinbase CEO, we are getting radio silence from your team and would really like to help Coinbase distribute Flair's token. As agreed, we will dedicate as many people as needed from our side to make it happen. And then I believe there was an update as far as that where they did get back in touch. So somebody was asking if Coinbase is not going to support it, will they still go with it? And they said yes, January 9th. That's the day. So it's officially confirmed. And then I believe if I go to his thing, we look at his tweets and replies. And then he gave an update 14 hours ago. Coinbase has emailed to say that they will come back to us in a day or two to finalize next steps. So there we go. So Coinbase is now on board. So so basically every single major exchange is going to be involved in this. And Binance US will ultimately support it. And these other ones, I mean, if Coinbase is going on there, unless there's some legal implications. But as far as the major exchanges, they're supporting it and they're going to distribute it. So along with that is Songbird. So the Canary Network token, Songbird to Flair, will likely be listed that same day as well too. And then the Songbird distributed as well if they're going to be doing that. Only a few did the Songbird. But so we're going to see some big things happen until then. So we're about 32 days away from that moment. So let's kind of get an understanding of what Flair is, why they're so huge, and like they could literally become top 5, top 10 tokens straight off the gate, and how people are sleeping on it heavy, but we're not. We're on top of it. So let's take a look. Flair, they're going to connect everything. Like how we say all the money. I feel like during this deep dive, it'll be nice to have this handy because what they're doing is that big in scale. All right, so Flair's connecting everything. Flair's a new blockchain which presents developers with a simple and coherent stack for decentralized interoperability. I could go to Google right now and we could look up interoperability and it'll probably be all over the place as far as news goes, or even just doing payment systems, right? If we do interoperability and payment systems, we're going to see a bunch of heavy hitters here. Federal Reserve right there in 2022, fit for purpose payment system interoperability, a framework, like straight off the gate. And then you have the Bank of International Settlements 2021. So these are recent things and like articles or publications that's been released. And as you can see, the interoperability between payment systems, we're talking about a lot of money here, right? A lot of money because the money has to flow through some sort of channel, right? So interoperability of those channels to unlock the free movement of all the money, all the, and then once we start talking about tokenization of assets or like real estate, like derivatives, like bonds, now we're talking about a whole, another can of worms there. So, but that's how big this opportunity is. And it's built for multiple ecosystems. So they're saying you can build for multiple ecosystems with a single deployment. So why would somebody want to go? That's like somebody wanting to go through a ton more hoops and hurdles to incorporate, have to decide, oh, should we use Ethereum? Should we use Cosmos? Or should we use Avalanche? Or should we, you know what I mean? So like, why would somebody opt that route when they can just go through one platform to build on, which will give access to every single platform? So it's the logical answer or solution to these developers that are trying to choose, which blockchain should we go on? I mean, you build on Flair, you're building on everything. So build interoperable dApps on Flair, using Flair for trustless access to the value, information, and liquidity of multiple chains. So it's going to be soaking up the liquidity of other chains, the Ethereum, everything, Cardano, you know what I'm saying? So like F assets, better bridges. So you're building for multiple ecosystems with one single deployment. And Better Bridges Flair State Connector is a new and foundational technology that makes it possible to build secure, decentralized bridges between any two chains. Decentralized bridges of non-smart contract chains onto Flair are F assets. Fast, decentralized, insured, and multilateral bridging between smart contract chains, including bridging of F assets onto other chains, that's called layer cake. So a secure, decentralized bridging with both smart contract and non-smart contract chains, because Bitcoin is not a native smart contract platform. So the use of non-contract layer 1 tokens with Ethereum virtual machine based smart contracts on Flair, and that's what are called F assets. So you have Bitcoin, Doge, XRP. Those aren't native smart contract platforms. They're built for another purpose, right? So that is what these F assets are going to do in the Flair smart contracts, is decentralizing bridging between non-contract layer 1 tokens. And then you have the layer cake, which seems like it is the bridge for smart contract to smart contract is what it's basically saying here. So F assets are for the non-smart contract chains being bridged to each other, whereas layer cake is for the smart contract chains to bridge to one another for multi-chain safety. And then you have the use of a non-contract smart contract layer 1 token like XRP bridge to any smart contract chain. So a hybrid of both, which is F assets and layer cake together. So hopefully that makes sense. This is a lot of technical stuff, but in the grand scheme of things, if we're really looking at it on a macro level, what it's doing is building interoperability between any blockchain distributed system. It doesn't matter if it's already a smart contract chain. It will bridge anything and any kind of mix and match of each. So layer cake is a material advance in the security, speed, and scalability of bridging between smart contract networks, addressing the core vulnerabilities of existing approaches and handling the risk of crossing zones of sovereignty. Layer cake also enables the bridging of F assets to other chains. It's fast, decentralized, multilateral, and insured bridging for smart contract tokens, zero user collateral bridging of any asset to Flair between any set of connected smart contract networks, and bridges are multilateral rather than bilateral, which unifies rather than fragments liquidity. So the overarching goal of what the grand scheme of why all this is trying to be implemented and how big XRP and just Flair is that like it's building a huge deep pool of liquidity, and it's not fragmenting the liquidity, and that because that's what the current problem is now, the liquidity problem that we're having in the financial world, right? So what they're trying to do, the main overarching goal is to create a deep pool of liquidity. And I'll even show you, it's what the BIS is talking about. So you even have this from this year. So June 27th of this year, you have China creates one liquidity reserve pool with Bank of International Settlements. So the Bank of International Settlements and the People's Bank of China are creating a one reserve pool, and 5 other regulators to provide liquidity to participating economies in period of market volatility. So it's talking about the other people, or US dollar equivalent to so-called renminbi liquidity arrangement, according to a PBOC statement on Saturday. So there we go. So like the overarching goal is to create liquidity pools, and the deeper the better. Understanding global liquidity, Bank for International Settlements, 2015, liquidity saving mechanisms, 2016, Yeah, so like even like this is interesting to go back to see if how early were they talking about this stuff. But there was a recent kind of releasing or a release that they did that talks about this. So I'm going to go find that. And this is interesting. Global Liquidity, Mark Carney, the former central bank governor of the Bank of England, October 26, 2022, Project M Bridge. So like a multi-bridge connecting the economies through central bank digital currencies. So joint report by the BIS Innovation Hub, Hong Kong Center, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, the Bank of Thailand, Digital Currency Institute, the People's Bank of China, and the Central Bank of the United Arab Emirates released this in October 26. So 50 pages. We're not going to go through that. But Project M Bridge is a collaboration between those groups. And after experimenting with different technology architectures in earlier phases of the project team developed a new blockchain, the M Bridge Ledger, custom built by central banks for central banks to serve as a specialized and flexible platform for implementation of multi-currency cross-border payments in the central bank digital currencies. And it's talking about in here having deep pools of liquidity. What they're all about, it's building that access to multiple ecosystems through one single deployment, right? So let's look at cross-chain composability. So developers can build interoperable dApps that can access the value, liquidity, and information of multiple blockchains. So like the M Bridge, right? It's literally a bridge. So through a single deployment on Flair. This is made possible by Flair's State Connector, which is the first consensus protocol purpose-built for external blockchain data, connecting the traditional world's data to the blockchain-based data. So they're bridging the gap from the crypto world to the traditional world, just like Ripple is doing. So it is able to securely prove the state of other blockchains in a decentralized manner and provide that data to dApps on Flair. For example, the State Connector can prove whether a specific lock, mint, burn, or redeem action has happened on the Solana or Ethereum network and trustlessly provide that information to a smart contract on Flair in order to automatically initiate a predefined action. It's faster and safer than existing approaches, and there's been a lot of hacks on these decentralized bridges the past year. And you can see dApps on Flair can access the value and information and liquidity of multiple chains. You got Solana, Cardano, Doge, Ethereum, XRP, Bitcoin. Start building. Flair's developer-friendly and industry-standard Ethereum virtual machine allows existing EVM tooling and Solidity to be used to launch any existing or envisioned EVM dApp on Flair. So think about that. It's like, say you launched an app on the Google Play or Android store or whatever, and say that Apple App Store isn't out yet, right? So what if when the Apple App Store came out, all right, so mainly people are going and downloading on the Apple App Store, but you have this application on the Google Play Store. Like, they're making it easy for you to basically transition the blockchain or your current dApp onto Flair to then connect to every other ecosystem. Whereas like if it wasn't like that, you'd have to build that whole same app from scratch on top of Flair to then be able to adopt or experience the benefits and features of building on this one solution that connects you to all solutions. So that would be like a barrier to entry. A lot of people wouldn't want to just kind of start from scratch there, even if it ultimately would be beneficial for them to do so. So it kind of lowers the barrier to entry or adopting this by being able to launch something that's already existing right onto it with ease. So let's keep going. State Connector, robust interoperability. The State Connector is the first consensus protocol purpose-built to acquire external blockchain data. It allows information from other chains to be securely and trustlessly used on Flair. And then we go down. They have the Flair time series Oracle, decentralized prices. Acquire time series data without relying on a centralized set of providers. The FTSO utilizes the network structure to deliver reliable and decentralized data to applications on Flair. So kind of like what Chainlink does, being an Oracle, Flair has their own kind of built-in Oracle, the Flair time series Oracle. So F-assets, smart contracts for tokens without them. F-assets are trustless replications of non-smart contract assets on Flair, bringing smart contract functionality to assets like Bitcoin, Doge, XRP, and unlocking their value in the decentralized economy. So Bitcoin can now be kind of put onto the Flair smart contract and locked up and like get the F asset. So you're able to get the F asset, the Bitcoin on there is locked up, and then you can now experience the features and benefits of DeFi by unlocking the value of these tokens So there we go. And you have the likes of Doge, XRP, Bitcoin, Stellar. We're going to be able to earn interest on our XRP and our Stellar through Flair. So layer cake, fast, trustless, multilateral insured bridging. We already went through that. And then we have this Flair rollout process. And we know that the token distribution is coming January 9th. And then this is a look at their team. So Flair consists of small, tight-knit team who are highly specialized in their given professional areas. Here's a list of their advisors. Right here, you can read a little bit more about all of them if you wanted to dive deep into it. But it looks like these people are official. They're legit. And then you can even go down here. They have government officials on here. Thought I saw, let's see. Oh, that's the actual team. Let's go to the advisors. Yeah, so the acting undersecretary, Ministry of Environment, UAE. Other advisors here, IBM Blockchain Accelerator, Clock Tower Technology Adventures. Let's see. Yeah, so they got some heavy hitters here. You got as director of strategic growth at Ripple. So you see the Ripple ties. And yeah, so there's something underlying here that is playing a bigger role into the end goal of where XRP is supposed to be used, right? We heard the conspiracies, how it's, and seen the proof, and kind of put the connections together that ultimately XRP is supposed to be the true use case for it is for being the backbone of the derivatives market. $250 market, I mean, huge. But yeah, so it seems like this is going to have a role. It's going to play a tie, and I'm speculating. So let's keep going to their profile on Crunchbase. So let's look at it. So their total funding amount, 11.3 million. So I think they've raised 11.3 million. They were founded in 2019. Their headquarters, Gulf Cooperation Council. Let's see where they're at. So Flair is a powerful new blockchain with the first consensus protocol for external data. They're really going to bridge all of this to the blockchain. Decentralized applications on Flair can therefore trustlessly acquire and use information from other blockchains and real-world data sources, solving the Oracle problem and opening the door to a new era of utility. See, that's why I don't know how sold I am on Chainlink, because Chainlink is a Oracle, trying to solve that problem. But maybe like Chainlink is the go-to Oracle for non-traditional-esque type blockchain solutions. Maybe it's like the people's Oracle versus like their Flair, Ripple. They're all designing their blockchains and distributed ledger solutions with the institutions in mind. That's who they're building for. Those are their customers. So the Ethereums, the chain links, maybe that's just for like people wanting to build, like social Web3 social apps or, things of that nature, not really like institutionalist level type applications. It just won't work. So fast, decentralized, and fully insured bridges can connect smart contract chains multilaterally, unifying rather than fragmenting liquidity. Non-smart contract assets such as Bitcoin, XRP, Doge can be brought onto Flair and put to work earning yield in DeFi. So you're going to be able to earn interest on your XRP, on your XLM, on your Doge, on your Bitcoin. Who wouldn't want to do that in a decentralized fashion, in a secure and safe decentralized fashion, right? Because you could earn yield. You could have been earning yield on Bitcoin, XRP, Doge on some of these platforms that have gone bankrupt. But this way, you can trust in the Flair network that you're going to earn your yield and you're not going to have to worry about anybody going bankrupt. So full cross-chain composability enables decentralized applications to use the value, liquidity, and information of multiple blockchains via single deployment on Flair. Seamless decentralized integration with the Web2 data powers trustless use of real-world data sources in Web3 dApps. So this is where everything comes full circle, where it's like, I mean, we're in our crypto world over here, right? So like, but if we want to start getting some of these other data sources as far as like the traditional stock market and just things of that nature, that's what they're trying to do here. They're trying to integrate that type of data and like macroeconomic data into the Web3 solutions. So now we can start bridging them both and trying to phase this new system in a sense, right? Something about this which was weird. Do Kwon is an investor in them, the Luna Terra co-founder and CEO. So that was a little interesting seeing that. Charlie Lee, the Litecoin founder, and then you have some other ones in here too. So let's actually now go look at their pop-up right here. Token distribution event, exchange support update. Binance will support it. Google Cloud partnership. So they partner with Google Cloud for a blockchain that hasn't even launched yet. I mean, like that goes to show how tied up with the boys they are, if you know what I mean. So as you can see, that's the case. The connected chains currently are XRPL, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, and Algorand. They're going to be a monster, a behemoth, and nobody's talking about it. You don't see it. I mean, just like really the XRP community, but like all these other people are so wrapped up in like this, just stuff that, and they're missing these things. But we're so ahead of the game. The XRP community is not even funny. So we're good. So Google Cloud partnership. Flair is partnered with Google Cloud. They're utilizing their services to provide a publicly available chargeable API service for the entire blockchain ecosystem. And so Flair is particularly well situated for providing this service, and we're planning to connect the top blockchains with layer cake insured bridges. So there we go. Right on Google Cloud Marketplace. They're going to be integrated right into that system. Then we can go into the tokenomics here. So you're going to get a Flair, the airdrop free if you held XRP. I think it was November 2020. I forget the exact date, but it was around. If you weren't holding XRP November 2020, then you're not going to get this for free. You're going to have to wait till they launch. It's listed and have to buy it if you wanted to do that. But yeah, so this is the distribution. I'm not going to dive too deep into that. But the ticker is going to be FLR. The token name is going to be Flair. And there's 100 billion supply, same as XRP. So now let's go into Flair governance, the role of Songbird. Because a lot of people have been asking, what's Songbird? Is it like a mystical creature or something like that? Not. So it's Songbird is the canary network to the Flair network. So it's like the test net, like they're testing out these new features and kind of product services, whatever it may be, on Songbird first. It's like if you're going to launch a new product, you don't test it out on your main product that's running. It could mess up that whole entire system. So they actually have a test network where they test these new features and this, that, and the other thing. And then once it checks out, then they issue it or implement the change onto the main network, which is Flair. So Songbird is like the first step, and then Flair is the second step. So Songbird is what we already got airdrop to us. I think it was last year. And the role of Songbird is going to be, like I said, the testing ground for these Flair applications. And I think I remember they ultimately were trying to become, or they could become its own like native blockchain itself, where they go and spin off and do other things. But what's key about this is Polkadot. This was the same thing. So Polkadot had launched its own canary network. I think it was called Kusama. And that just means that it's not just a bunch of fake tokens, the Songbird token, and it's valueless. There's a limited supply of the Songbird as well too. So it becoming a scarce, valuable asset. The more people want to launch on Flair or Songbird or whatever, I mean, they're going to have to get those tokens to be able to kind of test their ideas on Songbird. So with the limited supply of something and there being demand for it, and this being the new digital kind of oil to power these new applications ideas that we have, I mean, the value of the tokens got to go up to compensate that. So if we look at Kusama and what Kusama did, I mean, look at that chart. That is crazy. But you can see it was straight line up, literally straight line up. I mean, they launched like perfect timing, because it was like right at the beginning of the big run. But this literally went from $1 to $477 and legit about a year. That's 400 to 500 times your money in about a year. That for every $1,000, $500,000. It's nuts. That is nuts. And it's looking like, I mean, everything pulled back, but this is nothing out of the ordinary. You can even see how like there's some patterns playing out right now, and there could be a big move by this pretty soon here. So yeah, you can see we're getting into the pinnacle of things right now, and we pull back down to this area, this zone. So it seems like, the market overall is going to turn around, but that's we're not going to go over charts right now. But as you can see, these test networks that are limited in supply, they're no joke. They can, if they're valuable and people want to build on it, they'll go up a ton. So with Songbird being so oversold, first of all, Flair's not even launched yet, so we can't even see what it's trading at. But look how Songbird launched maybe at the worst time versus the best time. They launched at the end of a bull market, so they've just been going straight down. So just to get back up to where it was, we're talking about 50 times, because it's at like a cent and a quarter. And then its high was like around 60 cents. I think I remember seeing it at 80 cents at one point. So we're talking big moves back up once. I mean, in 30 days, it seems pretty likely or possible. And because of the distribution of Flair, like it's game on, they're ready to play ball. So that's what we're seeing here as far as that. So we'll have to see, because this could be a big move, even just to get like just from the event. We're talking about a 5 times, 6 times your money on that. And that's why in the Discord, we set up the pair-to-pair signals like Songbird to XRP or Songbird to XLM or whatever it may be. Because if it's going to outperform, we want to ride that wave and then convert back to get more XRP or XLM. So then if we keep going here, so Flair governance and the role of Songbird. This document sets out the basis for how governance on the Flair network will operate, including the role of Songbird network within a bicameral governance system. Goes into it. So to avoid overburdening the Flair community with an excessive amount of decisions and votes, Flair's canary network Songbird is to be used as a filtering mechanism for the community-initiated Flair governance proposals. There'll be 4 governance proposal periods per year. During each period, candidate FIPs may be submitted on Songbird. So like just like a request to, or like a community vote to propose something. And instead of just clogging up the Flair network with all these proposals, people trying to get things passed, whatever, you have Songbird as that filtering mechanism to, you know, if it gets past the Songbird stage and everything works out well, then it can go to the Flair network, the main net. So there we go. So that's basically what it is, what I was just saying. And I believe there's 15% less Songbird there is than Flair. So if we go to coinmarketcap.com, yeah, it's I'm pretty sure there's only 15 billion tokens for Songbird, if I'm remembering correctly. So 15% of the supply of Flair, which was 100 billion. So 15 billion tokens for Songbird. I believe that's the case. Don't quote me on that, but I think that is. So yeah, so we're seeing some big things happening here. Look at this chart. It's just like we sold off a cliff. We've just been going flat. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see something like this once the token distribution happens, as well as once people start really realizing and talking about the coming of Flair. I don't hear it much, you know, but I'm not on YouTube like looking at a ton of videos anyways. But if you've seen people talking about this a lot, let me know in the comments. But personally, I haven't seen much talk of the town about it. I think we're ahead of the game on this one. I feel like this is one of those blue chips that if you're not getting the airdrop, you should really look into, do your homework on it, and then kind of come to the conclusion of yourself. But this is big, connecting, being that one single point of being able to deploy your decentralized application to be interoperable with all other blockchains and not even native smart contract blockchains even as well too. We're talking Bitcoin, XRP, Doge. It's a very big deal. So that's it for this Flair deep dive. So the coming of Flair, that's what the name's going to be. So I will see you guys in the Discord. If you're not already there, link in the bio, come join the Discord, say what up. I'll say what up too. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.
I'm about to make my big exit. Had to come a lot of ting, no Brexit. She drink a little Henny, now she start to act reckless. Keep the pen handy, case it start to get tests. I'ma pull up in the G playing that pot smoke. I'ma let my NFTs hang like Picasso. They saying life's a game, why you playing like bots though? Ain't that a scary thought? Had running strolling around the pot, just a hand.